All right. So I am sharing my screen and you guys can see it. I'm going to go to slideshow. Just let me know, Chinmay. All good?
All good.
All right. Awesome. So we'll try to cover 45 minutes in presentation, and then we'll keep, I'll try to keep 15 minutes at least for Q&A. In between, if there are questions, keep posting. If it is very relevant, Chinmay will pitch in and I'll try to answer right then. So just to make sure you're on the right slide, so we take you to the right destination. This is a presentation about Google Performance Max. How, why, and what are our learnings. If you were expecting some of the presentation, this might be the time to raise your hand or get off the call. So that's what we're going to cover today. All right. This I'm going to just skip this. It will be in the slides. You guys, most of you know me or will know me that basically I'm the co-owner of InvisiblePPC. We took it over in November, and I'm also founder and CEO of agency Coolware, which has been around for 14 years, and InvisiblePPC has been around for 10 years. So a lot of experience doing marketing. And a little bit, yeah, more there. I'm gonna the Coolware focuses, the InvisiblePPC's parent company focuses more on e-commerce and FCMO. So there's not much overlap actually in those two businesses. The InvisiblePPC is a pure play, white label only. We do not work directly with clients. If there is any client on call who's the end client, if you reach out to us, we will set you up with one of our agencies. So we will still help you, but we cannot directly work with clients, end clients. So we will, hand you over to some appropriate agency who can help you. All right. So what we will cover today. So we will talk about a little bit about Google Ads types, because if it is Google Ads, we're talking about Performance Max, you need to know the other ones. We'll talk about marketing goals, which all channels does PMax work on, and really what situations can you use PMax? So that's the supported objectives. We'll try to do our version of advantages and disadvantages of PMax, and really what all you need. Finally, we'll talk about what all you really need to run PMax, examples, and key takeaways. So let's dive in. So you got to know your ad types. These are generally the ad types, or not generally, these are exactly the ad types right now. So search is obvious, display is obvious, video, shopping can be a little confusing, but it's basically product ads, which you see comes from a product catalog. App is very specific. Discovery is more for early stage branding kind of a situation. And then local traffic to a location, to a store, and smart automated. In fact, smart is the true precursor to Performance Max. Smart is what they evolved to Performance Max. And this is what they did. Basically, local and smart got combined into Performance Max, and more got added on. So from July onwards, this is all you'll be able to do. So the local and smart goes away and gets replaced by this. Smart was a lot used for shopping, actually, also. So the shopping part will overlap with it a lot. And local, of course, was very focused on local businesses. They both are combined and have shopping and local have a special treatment actually in Performance Max. We'll talk about it. This is this reference I have. If you go there, you'll see the data presented in terms of different kind of ads. I've turned it around to start thinking in terms of marketing goals, because what we found is really you don't start with the ad type. You decide as a marketing goal what is relevant. And so I wish there's a way to mute my Slack, because they keep popping.
We can't hear you, Slack.
Oh, it didn't show up on screen?
No.
Okay, great, because it popped up things on the screen. So I was wondering about that. So great. So this, so I would like you to think of in terms of marketing goals, that helps understand what you can do. So if it is a marketing goal is sales, lead generation, website traffic, those are the only 3 situations where you can use Performance Max, basically, not the other ones, right? So as we go through, if you're trying to do it, and if it is different kind, if you're not getting the options, that's because of that. So where does Performance Max work? So the big thing about Performance Max is it's trying to take your ad everywhere, every Google property, which are basically here, YouTube, any display ad, any property website they have access to, search ads, which we are much more familiar with. Most people are more familiar with search ads, discovery ads, which show up many places. And then in the Gmail, when you see ads, and on maps. So it's one campaign type which gets placement in all of these channels. Other important part is you don't get to choose the channels. Google will decide. You don't get to choose the placement either. So it'll just take your ad and put it in all of these channels and try to optimize it. Right? So that's the where it all shows up. So it's a little bit like omni retargeting, but not fully, because it doesn't go to Facebook, for example, right? It will not go to LinkedIn, many other places like that. But within the Google space, it is a little bit like omni retargeting. But of course, it's not retargeting. It is the primary target, like going out first time. So that's one way to think about it. It's a lot more exposure to the ads. And you might feel that, how I wanted a search ad, I don't want a display, but Google is saying, let's try it there. If it works, great. We will optimize. Don't worry about it. We'll take care of the placement. That's the main idea behind Performance Max, that Google decide where the ad should show up. So as I already said, it accesses Google ad inventory from just one campaign. Performance Max will automatically go everywhere. It does compete against all ads. So which means if you have ads in YouTube, display, search, any of those places, anybody else has ads or your competition has ads, Performance Max will directly go and compete against this. Your own ads, what will it do? We'll talk about it in a minute. But basically, the dedicated YouTube ads, display ads from anybody, Performance Max will go and compete right against them. So the budgeting and what will be the CPM and all are determined based on the competition on those channels. So these are, if you try to set up a campaign, these are the campaign objectives right from the Google screen you'll get. And not all of them, as I pointed out, I just want to make it more clear that how it works. Only these of those, the ones which are highlighted in blue, if you select any one of them, then only you will get an option of Performance Max on the next step. If you choose the other 3, and if you say, hey, I'm not getting Performance Max, that's because of you didn't choose one of those 4. Again, it goes back to what this Performance Max is. It's only for these situations. And out of these situations, 2 of them have a special additional input, which only applies to these 2. In case of sales or product sales, you can connect product feed directly. And in case of a location for store visits, you can directly connect GMP. Those 2 options are available only on these 2 types, and they're specialists. Rest of them, they will all have common inputs. We'll talk about it, what goes into making an ad. But these 2 have these additional inputs. That's basically the things to remember. That out of these options, which you can run Performance ads, this one will have additional inputs. And it's optional inputs, by the way, but I would highly recommend it. If those you're running, you should use those inputs. So Performance Max, as per Google, these are the advantages. And I want to emphasize this is as per Google. Right? This is what Google thinks that Performance Max is great. So you get exposure to a lot more audiences because they're going on every channel Google owns. You drive better performance. You get a lot more insights. This is again as per Google. It's automation. and it'll take your input and run automation and kind of do everything for you. You don't have to worry about building the ad. Actually, just provide the assets, and campaign management is easier. Let's see what we think. So the first one is definite yes. You do end up running ads on a lot more platform, a lot more channels. The exposure is higher, there's no doubt. Drive better performance against your goals. That's a maybe, as we look at, because it kind of depends how your other ads are performing and what is your goal, what you call conversion. So I would call that as a maybe. Get more transparent insights. Actually, it's absolutely no. Google is making, by these ads, it's making everything a black box. Maybe that might change later. Right now, they don't even tell you what happened with the ad, which ad got placed where. You just get the numbers in the end. So you have no idea what all Google did, how even it competed with your own. They don't tell you. They tell you what they will not do, but it's not possible to go and check it, that what happened with the placement. There is no data available. So it is a black box. So I don't know why they're saying that it's more transparent insights. I would say maybe for automation. There's definitely automation, so there's maybe, but what happens with that automation is not clear. It does simplify in some ways, but on the other hand, it's optimize ads is, it's like, it's a computer going through to right now the responsive ads. So it's basically same like responsive ads. So are responsive ads always better? They in fact they don't do standard ads anymore. Now it's only responsive. But within responsive, you have the control of making it a standard ad by giving it less input. So it's a maybe. It's possible to do better times, but in general, I would not say that it's all out. The last one, which Google doesn't have here, and they don't talk about it. Overall, what's happening with this is Google gets more control and more money. Basically, what they're saying is that, hey, I can show your ad here, I can show your ad here, and you'll get a click. You're paying all those places too, right? So, and which is in line with, if you look at Google recommendations, we have never run an account with Google where Google says reduce your budget. One of the common recommendation all the time is increase your budget to optimize. They never say, hey, reduce your budget to optimize. So it's in Google's interest to get you to spend more money. So, and in this case, they're getting control of without you seeing, and they're going to move it around. Basically, they are able to utilize their inventory more effectively. So that's something they don't make it obvious. That's what is happening with that, right? So this does come up as a question, or she should be wondering that, what about the search campaigns, especially which are very, very focused? Does Google compete against and steal from there? This is not exactly the Google's words, but I've kind of converted them to be simplified here. But basically, they will not steal from your own ads. And the four things they're talking about here is that the situations where you have a search term matches, and in spite of that, the ad which was shown was Performance Max instead of your search. If this does happen, it's probably for one of these four reasons. Either you ran out of budget in your search campaign. So that makes sense that you had a budget of $20, that $20 is out, but Performance Max still has budget. So obviously it will show. If the search volume is very low, which means there are lesser places where it can show by search, then it'll start showing that ad at other places without search. And if everything is disapproved, obviously, if everything is disapproved, then in search, then they cannot show ads. And if the targeting is not met. Overall, the summary of all these four is, if Google is not able to give impressions to your search ads, then Performance Max will replace it in those situations. So as long as Google does follow this, actually, this is a good thing, because your search was not even going there, right? So this one is just giving you a chance to go there for the search. But then, that being said, if the landing pages and everything is disapproved, that is not like, you really need to be working on fixing that and not going Performance Max, because search is very, very intent based. When somebody is searching, their intent to buy is high. So it's important to get to those people in that channel. Right? So it's always important to optimize for search. So, but in general, Google is assuring us that they will not steal from our search campaigns. So what are the key inputs? So key inputs are, of course, you have to provide conversion goals, whatever they are, the budget, how much money you want to spend, and feeds I talked about in case of GMB, really you can provide all your stores as a list, or in case of in a local store visit, you can provide a list of all your stores. And in case of products, you can provide a product feed. So those feeds are optional. And you can provide audience signals, including, we'll talk a little bit more about that, hey, if you have a custom list, you can upload that. So you can definitely still do that. And then rest, you provide assets. So let's break it down to the next level, especially the audience signals and assets. What all do you actually provide? And compare it with the traditional way of doing ads or the other campaigns, traditional search campaigns. So marketing objectives and goals, same, budget, same. Creative assets, what you do provide is text, images, and video. If you don't provide video, if the images are right, Google will actually create some videos for you. It'll auto-generate some videos with those images. And it does a pretty good job, actually. By taking these creative assets, and text in this case, by the way, when it is a text, it's the same headline and description, very similar to what you do in a responsive ad. You provide multiple versions of it, and Google will mix and match those to find the best one. And it'll mix and match your images. In case of images, these could be images relevant to your business. It includes logos. So it'll take the logo, put it on the image. Say if it is auto repair shop, and you have some auto repair stock photos, it'll take the stock photos, put your logo on it, and take the text and mix and match. That's what Google does. So everything, the whole ad building process becomes more of, you provide us assets, we will mix and match and build ads for you. So, and it's those look pretty good. What the end product, you end up with that. Geo-targeting, you can still provide. Keywords, you cannot. I didn't want to mark out. You cannot say placement. You cannot do ad delivery. That ads delivery should be just one line. So when you cannot control the timing, etc., they decide everything that what you want to do, where all will be delivered. And then feeds, which are optional. So Google My Business, we talked about Google Merch Center, any dynamic ads feed, any business data feeds, which is telling you the inventory, etc. You can provide that. Additional signals, which are optional, is that you can provide for audience is you can actually upload a remarketing list. You can have custom audiences also. Those are used as signal. It is important here. That's not the only place Google will go. That's why they're calling it, these are audience signals. They will take and expand the list and build their own. Google will build the list, but this provides them a little direction that what kind of audience is good for you. And that's what the audience signal is about. So these are the inputs, which, so big takeaway is the keyword placement and ad delivery you don't control. And it's going to be responsive ad-like situation where you provide text, images, and they will just mix and match and create it for you. Right? So just in some ways, it makes it easier that you don't have to worry about the creative of actually creating the actual ad. So let's get into 2 live examples. So first example is website traffic with leads. So this example is actually an example of epic fail, and I intentionally kept it. I started this specifically for this presentation 2 weeks back. I went to an account, our own account, internal, and I said, I'm going to do a brand new performance max and see what all can go wrong there. And I wanted to test that because the other ones which we're running on clients, we have data on those, which we will show you. But we wanted to see that what all, and so I said, let me go and do this. So I did this, and this is actually a screenshot from this morning. 3 days back, when I knew what I was trying to show, that things are not working, The screenshot was actually different. And even though nothing has changed in the account. So that tells me that how Google is displaying or telling you the errors, etc., is changing continuously. Just changed in like 3 days. Earlier, the message here was, I think something to the effect, I wish I had saved that, done that screenshot then, because I thought I'll just do it last minute, kind of a fresh screenshot. But it says something, no delivery or something because conversion's not set up. Today, it's not that obvious. In this account, we did not set up any conversions, but we gave everything else. Because it's not obvious when you set up the ads that conversions have to be set up. But reminder, Performance Max is a conversion-based ad, which means if you don't have conversion set up, it cannot do anything, it cannot optimize anything. And that conversion could be a page click, could be anything. Just visit to a page, form fill, whatever you want, but it has to be there. If that is not set up, Performance Max will just not go forward. And it should not go forward because how will it optimize? What is it optimizing for? So this is I would call a easy pitfall. If you're setting up and things are not moving forward and you're wondering what's happening and their message is not that obvious. Of course, they do have the fix-its here, improve your asset, but these are just to improve. So in this case, I just added like 4 or 5 images. You can go up to 15. So it's just saying add more images. That'll be always there. In fact, I recommend adding at least 10 or more, and then you find and you keep changing images. So you keep improving the assets to see whichever performs better. And so the conversion tracking is really, this should not be fixed yet. This is a showstopper because that conversion tracking is not set up, so this cannot go forward. Right? So that's really it's actually conversion tracking is not limited. It's just not set off. So the interface is changing. So I just want to point this out. Don't go around and because it seems very easy, just set it up and then you didn't do the actual conversions. And we'll talk a little bit more about why conversions are very important. The next example will become very, very important. It's not just it should be set up, but what it means to you is very important. Right. So let's get to a other example. In this case, and I've tried my best to. This is a live example with actual client of ours. So I'm just making sure that no client name doesn't show up, but it's a chiropractor. So that you can see. So, and this actually the report is not from Google. This is from our Google Data Studio. So every client we work with, we have a Google Data Studio. That's what we report on. So everybody gets that. So let's break this down. What's happening here? So in this case, it's a chiropractor, local chiropractor store. Obviously, they want visits. So we are running Performance Max. We are also running Maps, which is a little bit competing because Maps is local, similar. And we are running rest of the standard campaigns we run here, branding, high values, separation, and others. So, and when we work with clients, we set, and you should also, if you should have some kind of targets. In our case, we gave them a target based on what we knew, which was acceptable, that the target to be $80 is the cost per conversion is the maximum they want to pay. And our intermediate target internally was of $11 is the cost per click. So if we look at this, so I like to work it backwards, cost per conversion. So when we started it, May 9th, the cost per conversion was $150, way over. Client would have not been very happy, right? Then we fixed things, changed things, and things started turning, and it dropped drastically. Conversion rate went up. By the way, ignore the data for last week, June 6th, just because it's not the full week. That's why the numbers are shorter. So we just got to look at up to this week, May 30th week, just these 4 weeks. So if we look at this, everything is doing really well. If you look at this part, and everything has jumped up, great. Going backward, CPC, CPC was actually throughout kind of within range. Maybe it was a little higher here, but it was still within range even from before. So the big change here you could notice is that if the CPC was within range, the big change is the conversion. So the lot more conversion started happening after this month. That changed the game really here, because the average cost per click is low compared to the target. And then impressions is kind of function of how much money being spent. So here, lot more impressions, higher. The budget is almost similar. So it tells me that in this area here, the cost per CPM was lower. Then after that, impressions have been dropping, so CPM has been going up slowly. But end of the day, we don't care because, hey, cost per conversion is still low, but it's costing more to get the same impression. That's one trend here. Of course, the interesting thing here is that Performance Max itself, which got the most impressions, and even though the click-through rate was very low, the cost per click is very low as well. As a result, cost per conversion is very low. So cost per conversion is really, really low for Performance Max versus all the other ones, right? That's the major takeaway. So if you look at this, one would wonder and say, hey, I should put all my money on Performance Max. Why am I even spending all this, $2,000? If I put this here, I'll have a lot more conversions, correct? And now is the time to think about why conversions are important. So in the discussion channel, any of you guys want to, take a guess why, if you put all the money on Performance Max, it will not be a good idea by looking at these numbers? Because these numbers point out very clearly that, hey, Performance Max is such a winner. Why the heck are you guys even wasting any money on anything else? So let me see if I can go to the chat, and if somebody wants to take a stab at what's going on here. So, I have, thank you. But stop showing, no, actually, probably not. Best with search campaigns simultaneously, not necessarily true either. Conversion is not a linear equation, maybe not that. Josh pointed out, what conversion is this? What is called conversion is very, very important. What is being called conversion is actually different in Performance Max versus in the other ones. So let's go a little deeper. And there was some question about how long is this data. This is last 28's data. This is, it's up to date till 2 days back. So it's very current, right? So everything is right out there. So let's look at Performance Max only. So if you look at Performance Max only, I've just filtered out the rest of them. So our Google Data Studio dashboard allows you to filter out by the campaigns. So I said, okay, let's filter out. So let's focus this one. So when it started, the impressions have gone down a little bit, but generally our cost per click, average cost per click has been very low. It's stabilized at very low price. So that's really great. So cost per click is, less than 40 cents. Awesome. The conversions have gone up, of course, have been going up. Conversion rate, ignore the last because the full week is not complete. So rest of them conversions are going up. So just kind of reinforcing that, oh, this is doing great. And let's now separate this out. It's the same time frame, by the way. I'm just splitting out the data. So if we remove those and look at these conversions, even over here, the average cost per click is 731, where the target was 11. So it is below target, but it's not that low now because the low average was coming from the numbers from Performance Max. That's taken away. The cost per conversion is 54.92 here, or $55 around, and target is 80, still below target, but it's not as low. And conversion rate is, of course, here a little bit higher. compared to performance packs, but because the cost of conversion is not that high, then you'll say, oh, doesn't matter because total cost per conversion. So now let's talk about what is conversion. In these all campaigns, I did remove the maps one also. This max and maps, because they're similar, I removed them. That's all. Maps didn't have much happening anyway, so will not have impacted much. Here, a conversion is a phone call or a form fill. A phone call or form fill. If we go back to this, here the conversion is directions. When somebody goes and Google finds your store and asks for directions. Every direction person is not going to show up at store, but it's definitely an indicator that they might. Now, Google does claim and talk about that they will show store visits. We have not seen that yet. That they are able to actually track store visits. So at least the accounts we're running, we have not seen that yet. That'll be great. If we can actually track that, for sure, some of these would have, or I cannot say for sure, but most likely out of these 109, many of them ended up as store visits. Because if somebody's looking for directions, the chances they want to go there, right? So it's there will be some conversion rate, the true conversion of somebody showing up store, but we don't know the thing. So it can be misleading. What is conversion here? Once we have store visits, it starts saying that's a true conversion. So how Google does that is they track the IPs and things like that on the computer for your phone when you go around, and they track your moments, and based on that, statistically, they are able to derive that how many people who saw the ad and clicked on it or saw it can actually show up at the store. It's a statistical model.
For like last 30 seconds, maybe could be on my side, but if you could repeat.
Can rest of you guys lost me also?
No, all good.
Okay, thank you. So basically, right, but till you start getting the store conversion, this needs to be taken with a grain of salt. And one of the comments was that, hey, search and them running together, it's overall synergistic. That is actually true. They're synergistic, but that's not the main reason the big difference is. But the synergy part is absolutely true. Running ads showing up everywhere else at the same time. So there is value for sure. Right? So it is very important to know what is conversion for you. You know, is Justin on the call right now? The message something.
No, he had another meeting, so he
yeah, because I would have had Justin comment more about conversion. I mean, he had very specific examples, but let me see if I can recreate those examples. Like, just think this way: that what is conversion should be defined very well. Is it actual store visit? Is it the form fill or the phone call? Which is those are the form fill and phone calls are considered very common criteria for conversions for stores. And because in our case, at least, we also for the phone calls we actually record the calls, so they're available, so you can check that was it just a useful call or not. And form fill, the data can be checked that how many of them were just bogus or they were this thing. So it is a true indicator in some ways. But directions to how many directions percentage to go end up in the store is not known, and actually store visits is not available is yet. But Google has said that will start showing up automatically, but it's not shown up for us. Right? So that's the big takeaway here. To keep that in mind, that if you're running those campaigns. All right. Now, so what is the overall? So I talked about some negatives, some other things, how to do it. So I need to fix the phrasing there, but it should be absolutely run performance max. So first takeaway is you should run performance max. There's no doubt about it. But don't stop other campaigns. Keep the performance max budget low and watch for true cost per conversion. Other important thing which might not have come through, I did want to show you guys some actual ads, how they create. The problem is the data I could mark out and not show client, but I could not find a way where I will show you actual ad, then you'll not be able to know which client it is because they have images, they have logos on them. So there was no way to hide that. But it's interesting what kind of ads Google produces with this. So from those ads, based on their performance, you can actually learn. If you see a performance max ad doing very well with the image or without the image with the text, you should take that and just add it to your regular campaigns. So that's not obvious from my presentation earlier, and might not be as obvious to users when you use. So because Performance Max, the cost is low and you're getting clicks, but it's a great testing ground, right? What resonates with people? Because for very cheap click, you are able to say, oh, they click on it. That's great. Unlike the other clicks, which are much more expensive, because when you're bidding for keywords and there are high value keywords, it's expensive. So instead of that, you get cheap clicks and you get to know what people care. That ad copy can be used to improve your regular campaign. So that's one important thing which I feel. Other thing is, of course, you got to keep up with the changing landscape with Performance Max and other campaign types. What's happening? You absolutely got to keep up with that, because they're changing and there'll be learnings and things will change. You cannot just say, oh, I said it, it's done, because it's evolving very rapidly. The campaign types are changing, the ad types, they're only responsive is allowed. So a lot of stuff is changing right now. So it's important to keep up with that and leverage whatever is right. This is transition time a little bit right now for Google. Ads the way they're going. And in some ways, it's every 3, 4, 5, 6 months, there's always a transition time. Something is happening, right? Which is different. Because earlier the broad match changed, so how they define what they define exact match has already changed. It's not exact match now. It's exact. It's more, I would call it exact intent match versus exact match. So things keep changing there. We do, by the way, Performance Max is now standard part of our Google Ad Management. All clients who can benefit from this, no additional cost, we will add and are running Performance Max for them, slowly phasing every one of them and testing them with a small budget. So next. Yes, actually, this is more of a question slide. This is so if you guys have any questions, this is the perfect time. So let's go to questions. Perfect. 2 minutes before. Q&A. Chinmay, you there?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to read out the questions to you, Abhi.
Yeah, I can go through. I have it in front of me.
Okay.
And I'll read it out for everybody so we know which one. Does Performance Max allow, if you don't mind, you might just look through the chat channel if there are questions there.
Yeah,
right?
if you can post the questions in the Q&A, I'll go through the chat, but just in case we don't want to miss anything.
So does Performance Max allow what we normally do with negative keywords, excludes certain traffic? For example, I'm roofing company and just do shingles roof. Roofing company, I would have no. So it will not do that way. What the closest it will do is the signals which you provide if you have audience, custom audience, etc., which you know who needs more shingles versus the others. That's the closest it will get. So there is no negative that way right now. Yes. So the local services there's no more. There will be no more local one, and it's going to be just Performance Max basically going to that way. Local ads will it's being replaced by Performance Max. That is true. Yeah, negative keywords question again. No, retargeting option will not go away. I don't think so, because retargeting has a different purpose. Retargeting, the idea is they already saw something, they just need to be reminded. So many times the creative for retargeting can be very different if planned right. Like you could even say that, hey, we saw you visited but did not close or did not do this. You want to come back and this, that, or you can even offer discount that we're running a 10% discount just this week. They saw you earlier. So retargeting is a little bit different. So I don't think that's going to go. If you turn off directions as a conversion objective, keys, then then what will happen is that only things is the phone calls and all, right? So it's going to be too few. conversions. Now, directions in this case, by the way, only applies to the local stores, of course, right? So it'll not be able to perform very well, actually, if we took that off. Yeah, service business model, yes, okay, that's a great one. That if you have,
you want to read out the question?
Yes, yeah, sorry, I'm sorry, because I'm just assuming everybody else is. Do you recommend Performance Max on clients with service business model, like fence contractors, for example, but if they do not have a physical address for the business? Yes, you can absolutely still use it. You will not be able to do the local GMB, right? But you can do Performance Max for what is called website traffic. That's the one which I was showing you, the fail. That was that kind of a business, which I wanted to show you. Basically, it was in fact our business. I was testing. I didn't want to test a failing thing on anybody's business. It was our business is like, there's no location, right? Google PPC, it's everywhere. Location. We have a location in Austin, but our people are all spread out, but more people in Austin than other places. Our office is in Austin, but we want the ads everywhere. So that's, yes, we can still do. That will be for website traffic. And the conversion will be somebody signing up for a course or booking a call with us or things like that. So yes, you can absolutely use it for that. You will just not be able to, there'll be no GMB associated with it, which will be everywhere. And the part which I talked about, using that Performance Max to figure out which ads do well, will be a great use for that, because it's relatively cheap. So you can quickly test out what ads are doing really well and then take that and put it in your other conversion channel. And other reason it'll be good for that is because here you will be defining conversion. So if you're doing for that kind of a vision, it's not a direction or anything, it's your conversion, whatever you define as a conversion, which is a form fill. So it will work for sure. Now, how much it will be value versus other is yet to be seen. We have to run enough, it's kind of new. So we have to run enough clients to be able to say, it's just great for experimenting only, or it's cost effective to be run continuously. So yes, so for Shopify, for any kind of a shopping feed, I think Performance Max is definitely great, because that automation works really well with when you have a lot of products, a lot of images, so building that many ads is like a lot of work, and let them build all those product feed images. So I think absolutely great. Optimal daily spend is is not a question. There's a question about what is optimal daily spend on Shopify. It's a function of margins, how much, many other things. So it's very, very, very different. So I cannot answer that, the daily spend. Yes, I did kind of mention that. One of the question was that change the creative frequently. Yes, so I was mentioning that the fact that, yes, you should change creative frequently, and you should test creative, because they are doing a lot of testing. It's a high volume testing. So see what is working, what is not, and keep trying out creative. So that's a great playground to try out your creatives, which you can use other places later. Yes, that's a great point, that we should absolutely do that. Right.
Okay, Avi, I'm going to read a few questions from the chat.
Okay.
Okay. Does it leverage any old data if you have been running ads for a while, for example, shopping ads, and how long is the lag for data to feed in?
Yes, it does. So so that is the idea of the automation, that it's going to look at, so even your other conversion events which were there, which are not directly, just because you have an account, it can leverage that from your type of your business. And I cannot answer how much is the lag, but I would say it should not be more than 24 hours or so from all your existing data. But it's not the question of what happened yesterday. It's more of a question of what happened over the period. That's what it is leveraging. Right. So yes, that's a big part of Performance Max. It'll actually look at your account for things which you have run in past, everything, and see. So it does. History helps for sure. Oh, the performance max, there's a question of what is the key that what is considered a low budget. So you can be really low budget. Here, if you look at this one, it's the performance max, right? It's I think we are spending like this $10, $15 a day on this, right? Because the cost per click is 37, right? So it's total $194 spent in 4 weeks or so. So it can be very, very low. I have a question here. We talked about scenarios when we use performance back, but what are the scenarios that we don't want to use performance back? Example scenario would be like if the search campaigns are already doing great, will it affect the existing campaign if we launched a performance max? So my answer is we should still use performance max if search campaign is doing well, because it's not going to compete. And we have not seen this yet. Where was that? Slide. It's not going to compete with your search. It's going to go to other channels. And if it turns out to be cheaper, it's worth it, right? So even if you're performing completely fine, performance max might still add boost to that by going on other channels, by putting some money on. A question there, would there be value to start campaign alone at first and then expand to the traditional campaigns? You could do that, but if you want results of actual conversions, then you might want to get both going parallel. Because one of the things, at least our experience working with clients, is they want doesn't matter how much we tell them or we're saying it take us a few weeks to optimize. If they don't see leads coming in very quickly, they get very unhappy, even though if you're saving the money. So you want some conversions happening soon, especially in the Google ad space. If there's expectation that you will start, as soon as you start spending money, they should be converted. They give you monthly budget, you're trying to throttle it and not spend in the first few weeks, but they want to see results. So, and which is understandable. So that would be one reason I would not just do performance max. But,
okay, Avi, we have one question. Will smart niche estimates change from this as we get them going?
I don't understand. Same more.
Our smart niche.
Oh yeah, our smart niche. Okay, yeah, we're talking about InvisiblePPC smart niche. Yes, absolutely. So if we find that performance max, so our smart niche estimates continuously change, at least monthly, sometimes more than per month, based on more data we get. So they will be updated as we go along and get more data. In fact, now the new estimates, if you guys go to that smartniche.invisibleppc.com, we've got all the beta niches also as estimates there. So it's a much longer list, because some of the stuff we've been calling beta and not a smart niche has been running for 2 years now. So it's like we do want to promote it to smart niche now. The reason was that it was just not always a traditional local business, but it was doing really well. So we were kind of debating, this is not the local business, but it's doing really well. Should it be a smart niche or not? So we've decided it performs well. And if it has been running for at least a year, well, which covers the seasonality, then we will start promoting them to smart niche. So you'll see more in smart niche showing up. But for now, we have also published the data on all the betas we have. So it's almost double the list of niches where we have numbers now. So great question on that.
How are marketing objectives and goals expressed, and how does Google find the converting keywords?
So the converting keywords is found by your audience signals is one. Then your ad copy, right? It's telling them what kind of business it is through that. And the whatever can be given in the audience signal will help, because it does have a audience preferences and things like that in the audience signal. You can still use that, right? So you're not doing keywords, but you're saying is people who are into outdoors or whatever it is, those kind of things you can choose and still do as a signal. And then what Google is doing basically is when they run these ads at high volume, from the click, they can very quickly find out. They're saying is never mind the keyword, we just don't go with the intent. If we show them this, they start clicking, then that kind of the audience I know will click. I'll show it to more of their audience. So they're going on completely of their AI, figuring it out, which person is more likely to click on this kind of ad.
Okay, so we have two questions, last questions. One is from Emily. She is asking, pediatric occupational and speech therapy company recommended for, she's asking if it can be recommended for Performance Max. We are running search plus display with very low convergence now at 1,000 plus budget. Would we possibly kill display ads and add Performance Max, keeping the search live?
Yes, I would not do display ads. I would not do display ads for them unless it's retargeting display. Because any business like that, they're looking for leads, not for the brand name to show up. And the only time your brand and the display needs to be done is when going out and doing when you are kind of new launch product, you want the brand name out everywhere. So I would not spend money on retargeting. Retargeting brand display is fine because they've already visited. They see your logo again and they'll remember and come back. So I would recommend, yes, Performance Max and instead for sure, and search for sure.
Okay, last question from Dave. Do audiences who clicked on Performance Max ads automatically count as retargeting audiences? Since cost per click on Performance Max is relatively cheap, I think this is a good way to build remarketing business.
I think that's a great observation. They do count as retargeting audience. Yeah. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay. How do you divide budget between Performance Max plus search? The same question for the pediatric.
Yeah, I would keep it. I would keep it less than 10%. You know, more even smaller for Performance Max and watch it. Is it actually translating? No more than that, because you don't need more than that. The clicks are cheap there. But,
all right, I think that is it. We don't have any more questions.
Yeah,
thank you, guys. Oh,
I mean,
Keith is asking, was that less than 10%? You said yes.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I would start with.
All right.
Okay.
Any effect on ad extensions?
You want to use ad extensions, absolutely. So I don't know any effect of ad extensions. You can still use ad extensions with Performance Max. Yeah. So hopefully that answers the question. Anything
all right
more?
Thank you, guys. This has been great. Thank you for all the questions. Thank you for being here. We will send out the recording to the attendees most likely by Monday, and we'll see you in the next webinar.
All right.
Thank you, guys.